Right.
So welcome everybody for tuning in. It's another Veterans Vault where we talk Game of the Week with James Francis, ex-NAG editor and highly opinionated about gaming.
Well, not highly opinionated. I just know what I like.
Fantastic. We go live every Friday at 1 p.m., sometimes 1 minute late like we did now because my webcam didn't want to switch on for some reason. It's a user fault. I'm not blaming the technology. Promise. So what's happening this week? Anything interesting from your side that you've come across that you have been having fun with?
It's actually been a busy week, so yeah, I haven't been playing a lot of games. There is a strategy game I'm playing called Beyond All Reason, which we have fun playing co-op. If you guys want to check it out, I'll probably feature it sometime in the future on the show. But it's a free real-time strategy game. It's very much in the tradition of games like Total Annihilation. I don't know if you remember in Supreme Commander, right? I don't know if you remember those from
Yeah,
back in the
geez.
day, where you build these big robot armies and you attack each other. And a nice zoom out, big scale. There's a particular mode in there we have a lot of fun with, where you actually play against a like a brood that keeps spawning guys to attacking you, and you've got to fight them off. And then they spawn a queen and big queen monster, and you've got to fight her off as well. So yeah, been toying with that. But yeah, otherwise, where you been playing?
I'm not going to lie. I'll show you something that I was talking about the other day on the other day on a podcast. I just need to find it. But I've been getting back into Balatro. Do you remember Balatro?
Oh yeah, the gamble core, the lot.
Yeah, Gamble. Yeah.
What's the other one? Shotgun roulette. The one I enjoyed was Clover Pit, where you
Hmm.
do a slot machine. Yeah,
Oh
it's,
yeah. So
these
the one that I came
gambling
up,
games.
yeah, basically, but without the gambling. I'm trying to find
Where you gamble
date
with your
added.
life.
Always. So the one that I was, the one that I was, and I think this might be quite interesting for anybody who's keen on those type of games. It's a play on Wordle. Um, yeah, and they basically make a roguelike out of it called Randall's Quest. It's not available yet, but there's a demo you can play.
Okay.
But it looks, I mean,
I'm
I
not.
like the aesthetic.
I love that pixel art. It looks very nice, very colorful.
Yeah, so let's, I mean, yeah, it's a good concept. It looks nice. So yeah, I haven't installed it yet. I will do, but I came across it and I thought that was definitely something worthy to look at.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll be honest, I never played Wordle yet, so I'm a bit of a loss at the whole rage around it. But I really like what that looks like, and I actually do like word games, so maybe I will give
Mm.
that a look. I think I've also got a demo for you this week. They only released earlier this week, called The Eternal Life of Goldman. If we pop this up, so this is not a pixel art game. This is hand-drawn animation, basically a
Wow.
side-scroller Metroidvania style game. So if you're not familiar with Metroidvania is, it derives from the Metroid games, and it's the idea that your progress through a level or through a game is not entirely linear. As you unlock new abilities, you're able to access new areas in the map. And Metroid popularized this gameplay mechanic, but then we saw it now expand over to all kinds of side scrollers. And this one is one of the new ones. It looks very good. The Eternal Life of Goldman.
Yeah, there's a demo version you can try out, obviously, which is great. Yeah, this looks fun.
Yeah,
It looks
it's a
beautiful,
nice
actually.
side scroller. It's nice. It looks action packed. They promise some interesting gameplay elements in there. They call it a vast hand drawn archipelago inspired by ancient fables and depicted in classic frame by frame animation. The demo they're promising, you're going to have about 90 minutes of gameplay time. So go jump on there and give it a real look. I love these kind of games. I wish I had more time to play more of these side scrollers. I mean, last week also a demo I suggested was also a side scroller. But that was more of a cinematic one. This is, I
Mm.
says, more Metroidvania, more exploration, a little bit more skill based as well. Your cinematic ones tend to not be that hard to allow you to progress through the story. Where these ones, I don't know how challenging this one is, but they can get quite challenging. Not as difficult as the ones called precision platformers, and those are the ones where you want to jump fast and hit the platforms and avoid the traps. I'm not sure where this one falls. It looks great though, and I love it when you see a game of hand-drawn animation. In this day and age where you get so much 3D modeling, and frankly, we're seeing a lot of AI stuff now coming in. It's really nice seeing well-crafted graphics. The same for pixel art as well. I think it's two of the genres that are just looking amazing at the moment. Two of the visual genres.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things when I look at games like this, in the world of the conversation around AI, it feels like stuff like this stands out.
It does. And I'm trying to recall, there was another recent hand-drawn adventure. Maybe I can find it. That also recently came out, and it was based on like Disney games, like classic Disney animation.
Mm.
Trying to think what it
Oh,
was called.
yes, yes. I wonder if anybody chat can let us know. What do you think?
I think it's called By Sweet Carol. Uh, that's it. Yes, By Sweet Carol. Let me post his name into the chat, and then Reichardt, you can probably
There we go.
grab the thing. I'm gonna put this in a public chat for people, but there you go. By Sweet Carol. So this is also hand-drawn animation. It's more of a horror game. Also side scroller. I'm not sure if you can really count the side scroller. It uses the format, but it feels a lot more like a cinematic movie. That an
Mm.
interactive movie almost. I haven't played it either, but that's another example of vintage hand-drawn style art that looks really good. I hope people support these kind of games because it takes a lot of work to make them. But yes, they stand out because, let's face it, there's kind of a generic sheen to AI art. I mean, I have positive
Mm.
things to say about AI art, but it's not. It's not as interesting as the other styles, the other expressive styles that you get out there. And I'm not against using AI in development for games. I think for concepts and fast tracking certain things, it's definitely helpful. But I do believe that if you're going to, what you produce, what you see on the screen, a human should make that. And I mean that an actual human should make that. I want to point out, I don't think that if you are using an AI to create art, that doesn't make you an artist. In the same way that ordering menu at the restaurant does not make you a chef. So it just doesn't. It's the AI making the art.
Mm.
And no matter how much you instruct or tweak it, I can have a private jet and fly all over the world. Doesn't make me a pilot, just means I'm telling a pilot where to fly. You can fly a million flights, you'll never be a pilot. It's the same thing there. So I think it's important that you have that human touch in there. And I'll go further of saying I don't even need high quality animation. You see some indie games that have very basic animation and stuff, but you can see the passion, you can see the love and the effort that went into it. And I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, look, it's hard to disagree with that when you talk about the art and the artist side of things. I mean, it feels like there's so much love and passion, and you also almost want imperfections in there too. And I'm sure if you look at this, you'll probably find some of those in those frames, in those scenes.
Yeah, you always will, and I think that's what makes them a lot better. Just a note for you, Reichardt. Think you're seeing your screen. I'm not seeing your screen though. It's just giving me three dots
I'm
at the
seeing
moment.
oh, really? That's interesting. I'm seeing it. Let me share it again just to check. Let's see if we can test it. I've just stopped and
There we
reshared it.
go.
See if you can
There
see
we
it now.
go. Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah.
Yep, there we go. Bye, sweet Carol. Yeah, a tremendous amount of work, and yet I think I don't know how many reviews this game got, but it's the kind of thing that just should be supported more, and hopefully a game like this will have a lot of legs and allow them to carry on. It's something I noticed covering a lot of demos. So many fantastic little classic indie games, and I don't think the problem is that the media doesn't cover them enough. A lot of these games don't get enough attention because at the end of the day, everybody's chasing engagement. So, you know, a negative story about the new Call of Duty is going to get you more viewers than a positive story about a game like this.
And that's why we're talking in today's show about how crap Call of Duty is, right? For the clicks.
I have not played Call of Duty in a long time, I'll be honest. So I don't know how crap it is. I'm still old school. I'm from the World War II Call of Duty, maybe the early Modern Warfare. I love those early Call of Duty games, but to me, they peaked back then, and now it's like, yep, okay, it's fun, but um, it wasn't the same, because when you played the first Call of Duty, that was like being in Saving Private Ryan, the movie. I don't know if you remember that movie.
I
That
remember that
opening
was one of
scene.
the, it was gorgeous. It was so, I mean, playing it now, it's an absolute, not an immersive game, but back then it felt super immersive.
And I think that's been since I got more multiplayer. It's just not been my type of game. It doesn't mean it's a bad game in any sense of the word. It's just that's not my Call of Duty. I was always a multiplayer, more of a Battlefield player. 1942, doing stupid stuff in that game. So, but yeah, I hear complaints about Call of Duty. Maybe the problem is they're trying to put a new one out every year, which is ridiculous. It takes so much work to make those AAA games. It's like what we spoke about last week. It's
Mm.
such high level of quality, fidelity, graphics. You can't if you're just gonna pump these things out, you will eventually lose some of the quality. They're not like FIFA games, where you just tweak a few things and put out a new one.
Well, I think more than that. I mean, if it was a free upgrade, everybody would upgrade to it and it's fine. But I think it's because these games are so expensive. People are, I mean, at least for me, I can't, I can't justify spending the same amount every year for essentially the same game. But if you look at a game like Fortnite, I mean, obviously it's a free to play and you pay money there elsewhere, but they don't charge for that and it's still captivate. Well, it's still got a huge player base every year because people just play the latest version that they put out for free, I'm not expecting you to pay for these updates. Do you
Sorry, I
want to be
just
part of
shifted
the
my
show?
dog there. Yeah, he's loving. He's jumping in there,
I think
barking
you've got
someone on the road there.
strong opinions about Fortnite.
Uh, what my one opinion about Fortnite is that a few years ago they released a light version of Guitar Hero and Beat Saber, where you could kind of play as a band, and they had songs and you could play through them.
Yeah.
And initially I was all for it, because it was like Fortnite is a gaming platform, different types of games you play on there. The thing is that it was so shallow, the gameplay. Like,
Mm.
you in Guitar Hero, when you made a mistake, you could actually hear the song screwing up. I don't believe that ever did it. You also Everybody could play the same instrument, which was kind of weird. And then they just kind of shilled these songs at you. So I was like, okay, but you're giving me this very shallow gameplay mechanic, and then you're trying to make money selling songs to me. Now, I would have bought songs. I love Guitar Hero. I love that they had multiplayer online. I love the fact that I could get my friends to download Fortnite for free, install it, run it, and then they could use my song library and we could all play together. Brilliant. Except they made a lukewarm implementation of the gameplay. The same with, there was a Lego survival game on Fortnite platform. Again, great potential. Lukewarm, like very watered down gameplay mechanics, and yep, it just was not. It just didn't keep my attention, and I couldn't get other people's attention to be kept. And I almost, it makes me think of back in the day, we'd often debate in the NAG office of the difference between what we'd call hardcore gamer and mainstream gamer. And I think what's happened today is a tremendous amount of people kind of fall into that second bucket. They are more casual about gaming, let's say less nerdy. So they'll find a specific game, a specific platform or something, and they'll stick to it. But I think because maybe they're not exposed to the richness of more games, they don't realize that the game doesn't need to be dumbed down. Or on the flip side, it's Epic's choice. They kind of dumb these games down a little, so you keep that mass appeal going, which, I mean, it's fair. I don't have a problem with that. It's just never worked for me. I see, yeah, Diablo CX
Diabolic, yeah.
2000, Threats of Fire was better back in the day. Did I ever play Threats of Fire? Was that the online PC one? I really want to say, wasn't that the online PC open source one that you could like just download any songs
Yeah,
for?
it was. It was. Just calling it up here. I mean, yeah, because it was, look, the funny thing about these rhythm games, I don't know anybody that didn't enjoy them, and everybody goes like, why did they stop? You know, what's going on? So, I mean, there is a healthy community with these third-party games now, and the fact that you can get some good controllers these days, new controllers. You don't have to, you know, keep fixing your old ones.
I think it was a fad. The Xbox put us all onto Guitar Hero. It was a great party game. I think it peaked with Guitar Hero 2. They had good songs in Guitar Hero 3, but at the end of the day, and I think Threats of Fire, the drawback there is you couldn't play it on a console. So, like, just getting people into a room to play it. Because I never played this on my own. It was always in the lounge while you're having a braai or something. And everybody jumps in, and now
Exactly.
you like start hitting it. I know the hardcore guys went into Threats of Fire now that I think back on it. And then you, of course, had that other one that taught you more how to
Rock
play a
Band.
guitar.
Oh,
Rock
Guitar
Band.
Smith.
Guitar Smith. There was also a Rock Band. They kept trying to expand or complicate the formula, but it was just not. I think it just was a peak thing. It was a thing of its moment. I was going to get back to what Andrea says that about the anime translations to do subtitles in for anything. I think that would be very interesting. I'm very pro AI on that side, getting good translations and stuff like that. I think it might also get a bit interesting. I didn't know that. Is VLC doing that? Are they actually bringing in this a new translator? That would be interesting. I really love the thing in YouTube where I can see auto translations. They're not always great, but I'm getting old, hard of hearing, so it's always good for that.
Yeah, it looks like VLC Media Player is adding or did add an AL Live subtitle generator with 100 languages.
All right.
Yeah, and other things like
TV.
Yeah, and other things like features that I've seen, and I think we're going to start seeing this with more technology, like TVs and things. Is I don't know if you can call this AI, but AI that brings out the voice audio, because that's also a problem in some setups, right? If you don't have a high-end setup, you know, that you can tweak your bass and stuff. You have a cheap TV or a TV with not the best speakers. AI is going to save us all, James. We are all going to be saved by AI.
Maybe say so. Elon Musk says it'll be a age of abundance or something. I'm not convinced completely, but yeah, well, we'll have to say where it is. Look, it's just more automation at the end of the day, and I'm not. I think we're trying to constantly get back to that period in the early 20th century where everything got automated, but we literally moved from old structures into actual automation. And we saw massive gains and large price drops on that. And but efficiency is not. Efficiency is squeezing more out of the tube. I think people should think of it like that. It's not creating new capacity that didn't already exist. When you create new capacity, you are literally expanding, you are growing something. Efficiency is to make something run better, but you only have so much return of what do you call it? Return on investment, or the other word for it, I forget it now, but diminishing returns. It's always diminishing returns. So I'm all for AI, but I've been in tech too long to buy all this tech utopian stuff. It's it's another gadget. It's another toy. It's another thing about let us do some things better.
No, yeah, but I want to show you something. Tell me this isn't one of the best uses for AI. Very niche. So with Sea Dance 2 coming out now, I've seen a lot of awesome video posts. I mean, Hollywood, special effects and these things is going to become so easy, right? If I look at the videos I make, I'm going to be able to do miracles with the tools that I can use, to enhance my craft. But another version of this is turning, anything you want into basically anything you want, right? So this is your animated version of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, look, here's a question for you. When you make something so much of a commodity that it actually loses value in terms of labor, at what point does it actually become interesting or unique? Because, and at what point do you actually just put yourself in the corner? So let's say, yes, great, we can do everybody can do special effects now. We've had 20 years now of movies doing amazing special effects. Why is it then that the movies that came out in the preceding decades tend to be better? Why is it that so many of these big special effects extravaganzas we just don't remember anymore? Why is it that something like The Thing,
No.
made 40 years ago, still looks amazing because the amount of work it went into it, and yet a Marvel movie that came out last year nobody remembers? Ease of making something is not, I'm going to call it the Everest problem. It's now possible for anybody with enough money to pay some Sherpa to drag them to the top of Everest. That used to be a remarkable thing. Now you're just kind of like, okay. I do agree that it can help you improve your workflow, it can do your things better, but the problem I have with a tool like that is you will use that tool for your entire life. You'll never learn about animation. You will never learn the fundamentals that made the guys at Disney, the guys at Pixar, the guys at Ghibli great at what they do. There's, in the same way that we all own a car, we're not race car drivers. None of us are Lewis Hamilton or Schumacher or anything like that, because
Speak for yourself,
ease
bro.
of access does not make you better at a thing. If anything, it just dilutes what you have. So that's why I'm on two fronts about AI. I see the value, I see where it's going, but this idea of it makes something easier. Making something easier is not always a good thing. Social media made communication easier, and we're in a mess of that. Search made information easier finding. We don't know how to research anymore. So yeah, I could counter an argument of saying it's a great tool, but so what? It's and I think the other thing, I'll close on that, is the sheer amount of crap we're getting on YouTube because of these tools. Because now anybody who's got 5 minutes can now make content. I spend more time now trying to figure out if a video is not AI than enjoying a video. And I mean, for goodness sake, because there was once somebody who took time and effort to build that, but now some guy sitting, I don't know, in Russia can just pump out a thing in English and you don't even know if it's accurate. So it's a double-edged sword to me. I'm for the tech on some levels, but on other levels, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's just because it's easier doesn't mean it's better.
I also think what we are seeing now is people off. It's like flexing, trying everything, right? We're seeing the good and the bad. Well, a lot of the bad, because people are applying this to everything. Music, we're seeing it all over, right? Remixes, where we used to listen to a proper bootleg remix of somebody that spent the time to not use software to pull stems, but to actually use vinyl or whatever to pull out those beats that he needs. I mean, I guess at some point you will start looking to computer program and Fruit Loops and these things, and then it's all kind of just extension of the same thing.
No, actually, I'm gonna say there's a difference. So I think it was, I don't know who the DJ was for Beastie Boys. He actually spoke about this topic where he said digital versus analog. And he was supporting digital. He said because he used to, back in the 80s, you would have to have tape decks and tape, and he'd have all this tape hanging around his apartment, and then you'd have to cut and sellotape and all that. And then digital tools came along and allows them to do a much better job. And great, wonderful. Same thing in DJing. There's vinyl DJing, there's CDJ DJing, but you take a guy like Carl Cox on the CDJ, he's fantastic. Like, there's no doubt that. So digital is good. These tools are good. However, there's a difference between a tool that still requires you to have a skill set and a tool that just does the job for you. And that's a very fundamental difference. And that's why I think why AI is different. There's a difference between knowing how to edit an image in Photoshop versus just getting an AI to do it. In Photoshop, you actually have to cultivate the skill. You actually have to make mistakes. You have to build experience. So it's not just digitization. It's good for things to be easier to a degree, but it's a little bit like what we're doing now is we're all riding around on bicycles with little training wheels. Now dad's behind us stabilizing it in our head. We're like, I'm in the Tour de France. And I'm like, no, you're not. We're close to that. You'll never be there. And so maybe we're gaslighting ourselves with these tools, I think, with people. And I've seen people doing amazing stuff with it and using it properly. And in fact, it distresses me a little that the amount of people abusing these tools means that we end up not being able to use these things properly and respect them for what they could do. Because now if anybody uses AI, we're just like, oh, you can't use AI, which is also stupid. It's not a binary argument, but
But that's what I was trying to
defense of
say
saying
with.
it makes it better. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of my point with if I look at these bootlegs back in the day, right? Now everybody can do it, and whenever I see a mix or something coming up, I'm not as excited to see it because it wasn't that feel of knowing somebody sat there for hours or days to try and put this. What is that one? That very famous one that does these yearly mashups.
There's a couple
And it
of
does the
them.
famous ones. Yeah, there are a
Earworm,
couple of
DJ
them. Anyway,
Earworm.
Earworm. Yeah, he's one of them. But yeah. Right, that's something. But now anybody can do it with a couple of command prompts, and it could still sound great. But it's just the source of it that it's. But the problem is there's going to be a lot more bad versions of it because AI isn't a magic tool that makes everybody a good DJ or music producer or a good photo editor.
I think that's the
Even
thing.
Photoshop. So to your point of Photoshop, just to wrap up on that, I mean, before Photoshop, you had to go into the darkroom and manipulate your thing, right? And it was very niche. Then Photoshop came out in these tools, and everybody could start manipulating photographs, and your photography could become better. And then digital cameras came out, and everybody became a photographer, right? But photography is still a job. You still have photo editors and these things. I mean, yeah. So it's how you use a tool. Some people are going to fake until they try and make it, and other people are actually, like I would imagine music producers these days, right? When computers made it much easier to create sounds, you were left to be able to create rather than trying to build the tools to make the audio. So for good or bad, there's more creativity around it.
I think there's more people with no creativity now thinking they have creativity.
No, for people who are creative, it gives you more ability to create it. Yeah.
But it's also now harder for them to stand out. And that goes back to my original thing. Once you commoditize something too much, and commodity means that the value of the labor, and if you go on John Smith's model, it's labor, rent, profit. Those are the three forces for any economic model. And once your labor reduces so much that anybody can do it, you have a commodity. And once you have a commodity, unless you establish a monopoly to then protect what you have a commodity, and commodity means the value is out of it. It's there used to be a time when for Emperor Nero to have ice cream, they had to go and find ice on the top of the mountains and bring it down and do all kinds of fancy stuff, and ice cream was rare. Now we can go out and get ice cream. I'm not saying ice cream is not nice. It's just ice cream is not as special as it used to be, and so nobody's having fights over it. There we go.
So Vincent says, and he wraps it up very well. A hammer in my hand isn't worth much, but the same hammer in a blacksmith's hands can create wonders. Yeah, exactly. And that's a value I see in AI, the value side of it.
Except the hammer is no longer, the hammer is in AI's hands. This is what we need to understand. This is the big difference between AI and previous software. This is not you using software like Photoshop to do something. This is the software doing it itself. It doesn't need you. I mean, you think you're special because you're putting in the prompt. One day we're just going to have AIs that create prompts. And then what do you have then? So am I just going to, how long do you take before I can just employ a whole bunch of AIs to give prompts to other AIs to mass produce crap, to spread out somewhere? I automated all of the script. I mean,
but having said that, you're not wrong. But having said that, and I think this is a point we did make, and let's get to the game after this. But you can put a prompt in and just get generic out, because AI will take the baseline, the most generic info, and pump out that output. Having said that, with most of these tools, with all of these tools, you can put a 1-sentence prompt in, or you can put a 1,000-word essay prompt. You can put code in. You can put, even with these image generators, you can say, paint me a flower. Or you can give it 50 lines of code to explain exactly what you want. Not a lot of people can do the latter, because it's like programming your AI to do something specific, or giving him more direct. Yeah, you're not letting him free to make his own choices as much, because you're controlling it by way of that input.
That's the prompt bro argument. I don't agree with it. Like Shady University tried that argument where he said, I spent 6 months making the Super Bowl Supergirl picture, and then somebody posted similar picture saying it took me 2 minutes on the toilet to make the same thing. Also, Yeah, I don't think it's the same. I don't think
But
there's
how is
as
that different?
corporate.
How is that different from anybody else using like Photoshop to do something, right? I can use Photoshop to clone parts of my photo to remove things, right? I can do it
You
manually.
had to learn
Or I
because
can, yeah, but you can now use AI, but not everybody can use Photoshop, right? You can use anyway,
look, we're
I
talking
think
about basic
we can
things here.
disagree about this.
But I mean,
Eh?
AI is not going to teach you color theory. AI is not going to teach you lighting composition. If anything, AI will just, if you have that knowledge, replace you because the AI can do it with somebody who does not understand those things. And to your point of a prompt, is yeah, sure, maybe I can't do a one sentence prompt. You know what I often do? I go to another AI, I give it my one sentence and tell it give me a bigger prompt. I use it all the time of research. I
Yeah,
don't
but
even need the
again,
skill to build a prompt. I use AI to build the prompts for me. So at some point, when am I necessary anymore? You see, when you're using Photoshop, you're still a necessary part of it somewhere. But when you start using AI on AI, you become redundant. At the end of the day, the only person who matters is the CEO who owns the AI, who owns access to that.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, we're talking about the same thing, but we just said that it's depending on how you use that tool, right? Anybody can pick up Fruit Loops and make EDM music, right? It's not
Well,
going to
that's
sound
not
good
EDM
necessarily.
music is not exactly a talented genre.
All right,
Find me
let's
someone
get
who
to
can
this
make
game.
jazz with Fruit Loops. Then we're talking about something because jazz takes a lot more skill. The problem is now AI can do that for you. AI can make jazz. Why do you need you? You know, you just need somebody to tell AI make some jazz. My point is, with AI, you are no longer the artist. AI is the artist, and we need to understand that distinction. It's not about your skills anymore; it's about the AI's capabilities. Even what Rolene said, they're building a booking software built in CRM and AI. I was thinking about the other day, even if you are a skilled coder, if the AI produces code that you do not significantly change, did you actually code that? No, you didn't. The AI coded it. So, yeah, I think we can go in circles on this, but I do think it's a big difference between whether you are actually the one applying the skill or whether the AI is applying the skill.
That was exactly what I was saying. Game of the week. Let's get into that.
Yes, have you got a trailer for us?
I'm going to load it up right away. This is something I've been wanting to play for quite a while, to be honest with you. It just looks 80s. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see if the audio comes through.
Yeah, can you hear it?
Dead or alive, you are coming with me. Reinforcements have arrived.
Very positive, eh?
Oh, yes. If you're a fan of this movie or anything Robocop, you're gonna love this game. And I think if you're a fan of old school boomer shooters, as we call them nowadays, or just 90s era shooters, you will also really enjoy this. It's a very, very ridiculous little game. Or not ridiculous little game, it's quite a substantial game. But yeah, so Robocop Rogue City, first person shooter, released in 2023. It's since also had a standalone expansion, came out last year, called Rogue City Unfinished Business. Not as big a fan of that one, but I'm a huge fan of this game. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, what is the thing that sets it apart for you from everything else you've played?
Well, firstly, it's Robocop.
No, I mean, from
You
the other
probably
Robocop
know
games.
this.
What?
I am a huge fan of the original Robocop movie. I'm also a big defender of the second Robocop. I can say nice things about the third Robocop. I have watched some of the other media. I'd prefer we not talk about the remake. But yes, it's Robocop in a love letter made to the movie, especially the first two movies. So the guys who made this, let's go find their name here. The guys who made this they're called Teon, also published by Nacon. But Teon, they previously in 2014 they made a Rambo game, which is kind of an on-rail shooter, which was it's not great, but it's a good novelty. 2019 they brought out a first-person shooter called Terminator Resistance. Not a bad game, reasonably fun, very low budget though. And because of that, they got access to the license to do a Robocop shooter. And that's what they did. They built one. They really go into the into the original world of Robocop. You can see, you go to the police station, you go to old Detroit, you go to the OCP world. That the video said that's how the game actually starts. It's got the video montage just like the movies of the presenter. It's very tongue-in-cheek. They got Peter Weller back to do the voice of Robocop. And some of the other actors were available as well, and they brought that in. And I'm not going to spoil a lot. There are things in there like Ed 209, the famous robot with the 2 legs. It's in there. You have at least one battle of it. You've got some other surprising things as well. So it's just really solid. What I will say is what was I going to mention about it now is the initial impressions of the game was that Robocop moves slowly, and he does in the game. He kind of like dump, 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 dump. But firstly, it works because it is Robocop. Secondly, the characters in this game are just stupid because they keep going they got Morrowind syndrome or Skyrim syndrome where it's the dragon slayer, let me go mug him. These guys are all like, it's Robocop, let me go shoot them. And I'm like, brother, it's Robocop, run away because I'm gonna crush you. And you get a lot of that. Now later in the game they start giving you tougher enemies, etc. They throw a lot of you. So you really feel like Robocop. You really feel like, you're walking, you're shooting the crap out of everything. You can pick up other guns. Both my playthroughs, I just use Robocop's gun because it's so cool. Why would you want to use a different thing? So yeah.
They look like, what you were saying now, they're typical 80s bad guys.
Very much. In fact, they make me think a little bit of the voice acting and so forth of the Arkham games, the early Batman Arkham games, kind of got that exaggerated style.
All right.
I think the game is a little bit goofy. If you want to measure this on Robocop lineage, the goofiness are a little bit closer to Robocop 3, which I know is not a great thing to say, but it's not actually a negative. I really got into it. I enjoyed the story. It's a shooter, as in you walk around killing guys and bringing justice to them. But there are also portions in the game where you walk around old Detroit at night and you talk to people and you do missions and you give tickets to cars, etc. So you also play a bit of Robocop as a cop, meeting the community, etc. It's not very consequential, but I did like that it's not just about shooting and action. It was also about being this character in Detroit in the 80s, cleaning up the place, helping people out. It was good fun.
Yeah, look, I bought it. A couple of comments from people in the chat also said they have enjoyed playing this game and certainly want to check it out for those that haven't played it yet. How difficult is it to get... Sorry, go for it.
Oh, no, you were asking how difficult it is.
Yeah. To get into it. Yeah.
No, not really. Like I said, this is such a... that video, it's a bit of a buggy section there. Look, this game has bugs. This is a AA game with some yank in it. It's an early UE5 game, so there were some issues with optimization and all that. It's not difficult to get into. You pretty much walk, you shoot guys. Robocop can take damage, but most sections are very liberal in giving you healing kits and stuff. What I also want to say is Robocop has a upgrade system. So you can unlock points that unlock skills that he has. Ricochet, shoot, or shields, or he's got this boost where you can go forward very quickly. There's a fight with Ed 209. The first time you fight him several times in this.
That thing... people got scared of Freddy Krueger when they were kids in the 80s. This thing scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, I think we were all scared of Ed 209 with his roar and that weird dinosaur vibe that he did. So it's easy to get into.
We shouldn't. Sorry, go for it.
It's good fun though. It is the first playthrough though is more difficult because you have to build up your skills. However, they added a plus mode that once you finish the game, you unlock a mode where you start it again. It is more difficult, but you get earlier access to Robocop's points, so you can start boosting them. That is specifically fun because it's no longer difficult. Now you truly are Robocop. You are beating the crap out of everyone and everything. Like you're like kind of like in the first time I played the game, I dodged behind pillars or stuff like that and managed my health kits. And in the second one, I just go in and what's it? Chew bubblegum and kick ass. Except Robocop doesn't chew bubblegum. So take some baby food and kick ass.
Oh, the
This is
baby food.
the scene is Detroit City and the light. They reused levels. It's very smart how they did this game, I think, and it builds a fairly nice story. There's a story about corruption. There's a election running in the background, and different candidates are trying to get your support. So very RoboCop 2 in that way. Uh, it's a real. I'm biased because I love the movies. So I can't say if you're gonna love this if you don't know RoboCop. I think it's a pretty solid old school shooter. I like the Lord Razor's comment, Lord Razor 69 saying the yank is part of the charm. Feels very 80s. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's very true. It feels
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
game that could have been brought out in the 90s, except it's got the kind of polish and the graphics that you get from a modern game. I think this is also very important to note, to showing how Unreal Engine 5 is allowing smaller studios to do really good looking games. Because 15 years ago, 10 years ago, if you wanted to make a game that looks like this, you had to be a AAA studio. But now this is Unreal 5 in its almost unrefined form.
Yeah, I mean it's very atmospheric, especially on those earlier scenes walking outside. I mean, yeah, Unreal 5 is a beautiful engine, let's be honest.
Makes me a bit angry though, because it makes my RTX chip useless because this is Lumen. So it's all software rendered. Unreal 5 does its
Oh,
own
right.
ray tracing. You don't need a chip. So I'm like, well, thank you, NVIDIA. I don't need that chip anymore. But
Oh,
I think
classic.
I can definitely recommend it. Like I said, there's also expansion. I'm not a big fan of expansion because it goes very much into the action side and less of the other elements. And I enjoyed the other elements, but it's still very popular. It is still, a lot of people love it. I am looking forward to them doing another one. I'm not sure what's left for them to do in it because there's so much in this game for fans of the franchise, including a song. I'm surprised I don't have the song on the trailer, but it's in there, the famous RoboCop theme song.
Of course, yeah, man.
So, Rachel, I've got some trivia for you around this game,
Again.
around RoboCop.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
Okay, go for it.
well, don't worry, nothing I'm going to ask you I've spoken about before. I don't want you to get these things right,
Even worse.
So, this is, how many RoboCop games have there been? If you would guess. I'll give you a clue. The first RoboCop, you probably played it in an arcade, side-scrolling game, came out in 1988.
I love that game. I think I actually have it now, my little Famicom.
Oh,
I would say 5.
not bad, 9. So there was the original RoboCop. There was also a RoboCop for RoboCop 2, RoboCop 3, each got games. There was a 1993 game called RoboCop versus the Terminator. Then in 2001, they released RoboCop game on the Game Boy Advance. There was also a RoboCop first-person shooter in 2003, a side-scroller in 2004. There was a free game to promote the 2014 movie, which we will not talk about. And then now we have Rogue City. In fact, I think it's 10. If you count the expansion that came out for Rogue City, which is standalone, you don't need the base game. There have been 10 RoboCop movies.
Oh, sorry, what was that last thing you said? I just had some audio blaring in my ear, yeah?
So if you count the new expansion, the standalone expansion for Rogue City, then there are 10 of these RoboCop movies that have come out since 1988. So that is one of the early ones, but this was a adaptation. So the original one is the arcade side scroller, which was more colorful than this. But this was because back then they would make various versions for the various platforms.
Yeah. There's a Commodore version. Where's a? That
I
one looks a
remember
bit
that,
off.
that side scroller on arcade. I played that a lot. Quick second question. What unofficial record, this is for the movie, what unofficial record for special effects does the first movie have?
What unofficial record?
Yeah, it's never been
I
official,
want.
but it's kind of just been assumed that this is the case. It's never been surpassed.
If I remember, it's probably something like the amount of people killed or something in the game
Close enough, but it's the amount, most blood squibs on an actor.
on one
So
actor.
on one actor. So the scene where the famous boardroom scene where Ed 209 shoots the executive, you know, the guy who lands on the table and he just gets blown to pieces.
Annihilated.
Yes. So it took them 3 days to shoot that scene because the director wanted it to be bloodier, etc. They actually lost count of how many squibs they put on this guy. Like he was strapped into a harness and he was locked in there. And the nice mention, the long arms at the end with the guy falling, the famous like
Oh,
weird glitch in the game movie. Everybody remembers that one, yes. But the in the beginning when you had there's the scene where the guy gets shot by Ed 209. That it was legendary. In fact, if you can, there are interviews of the people who made that online on YouTube. Go find it. It's quite a story of shooting that scene. Next,
the
next
first
one I want.
thing. Yeah. Oh, sorry. The other. Yeah. Yeah. No. Go. Continue. Continue. I was going to digress.
Yeah, I got two more questions for you. So I mentioned that there was movies. What else did they make? There were also comics and there were games, but that's not all of it. What else did they make for RoboCop media-wise that also we were happy to forget?
Media-wise,
Yeah,
like a kid's cartoon.
yeah, you nailed it. They made a kids cartoon series for RoboCop. I believe it or not. I mean but they made RoboCop toys, so can you believe it? And there was also a television series in the 90s.
I remember this.
Yeah, both heartily recommend you avoid. Do not go watch these things. The kids cartoon you maybe get back. The TV show is bad. Like I thought the RoboCop 3 was a bad movie, but then the TV show. Oh my goodness, like, nah.
Is this the one you remember from '88?
Yes, this is it. So be clear. Let's be clear here. This was therefore made before RoboCop 2 even came out. So this was derived from the original RoboCop, which is still one of the most violent action movies that come out of the 80s. Like it was ridiculously violent and adult. But yeah, they made a kids show for it. It's
Oh, that move of his. Yeah, I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. That's the scene that scarred me more than any movie was that acid scene where the guy gets dunked in the what happens? Something
car hits
drives
him,
into the
yeah.
acid, yeah, and the poor guy's in the blasting range of it, and he just melts.
Yeah, no, there were
And
a
then
couple of there was the guy getting shot in the dick. There was the guy in the boardroom getting blown up. There was there was the execution of Murphy when he gets shot by Clarence
oh
Bodiger
yeah,
and these guys. You guys now, most people remember the actor from that 70s show, but he'll always be Clarence Bodiger to me, you know. The psycho who took on RoboCop. And yeah, I mean, they shot off his hand. If you can, there is actually a director's cut where they have an extended version of that scene where you see even more of the gore that they did there. So good
damn.
one on that. I think I just
Yeah.
want in closing with the trivia. This is not a trivia point, but I just want to give a nod to a rest in peace to Tom Noonan. Tom Noonan, actor that I believe they announced yesterday or this morning that he died. Tom Noonan played Kane, the cult leader in RoboCop 2. So just opportune to mention him, to bring him up. I think RoboCop 2 has always been a flawed classic. They could have done more of it. I always love the idea of Kane and the cult, and I kind of wish they pushed that further. There's also a very infamous graphic novel, because what happened, it was Frank Miller wrote the script originally for the second RoboCop, and the director hated it so much that he mostly ignored most of it. And then then he brought out a graphic novel later of his version of the story, which is not as good as the movie. but somewhere between the two of them, it might have been spectacular. But anyway, Tom Noonan, rest in peace. Kane, who also became the Robocop 2, if you've watched that movie. Andrew's
There we
asking,
go.
is someone born in 2002, how wild were the 80s, 90s in terms of geek fandom? I don't know. I was like 8 or 7 when Robocop came out. So, but people loved it. I think what we should remember about the 80s especially is this was when we got Aliens. This is when we got Predator. This is when we got Robocop. This is when we got Lethal Weapon. All of this stuff was new. It was a whole new. Schwarzenegger was not an icon. He was the new action star. So I think for a lot of people in the 80s, it was just like a pop culture explosion. And only in hindsight do we kind of go like, oh, wow, it's great. I think fandoms, if it did exist, was more Star Wars and Star Trek. I think a lot of the fandoms for these things started developing in the 90s, especially when they started bringing out crappier versions of the franchises and people started getting nostalgic for the older ones. But I know as a kid it was great. You had Saturday morning cartoons, you had like Transformers, Gummy Bears. But what else did we watch? There were so many great shows. You were spoiled for choice in the 80s.
Andrea did mention the Ghostbusters, and then remember there was the Ghost, which wasn't there was the Ghostbusters movie, and then there was a cartoon that was made. I think it was they managed to get the license before the movie or something.
The Filmation one, yes. The Filmation
yeah.
guys made a Ghostbusters and was actually a completely independent thing. In fact, I think it was in development even before the movie came out. And then they made an animation show called The Real Ghostbusters, which was derived from the movies. I mean, there's the Filmation stuff. So you had He-Man, you had the Ghostbusters, you had Brave Star, She-Ra, just amazing amount of stuff. And they used to churn these things out insanely. So that is interesting because the original the Filmation Ghostbusters also had the gorilla and the car.
Yeah. I was just trying to pull up the right video clip here. There we go.
Hot take from Andrea: the movie Alien is better than the movie Aliens. I don't know. I agree in a level. Alien is a amazing movie. And Alien and Aliens was a very different breed of movie, more of an action movie. I think the kind of claustrophobia that you got with the original Alien and how Ridley Scott did it was brilliant. Yes, that's the Ghostbusters from Filmation I remember. Also, what we need to remember with Alien as a movie, because when James Cameron came to do Aliens, he had done action movies before. He'd done Terminator, he'd worked on Piranha, etc. The Alien was completely stuck until they brought in Ridley Scott. And it was funny, the writers of Alien said when he came, they gave him all of this, these sci-fi movies and sci-fi books and saying for inspiration. And Ridley Scott looked at it and said, no, this is nonsense. I don't care. I don't like sci-fi. I'm going to do my own thing. And that's why Alien is so unique, because it was made by a director who didn't like science fiction. Same thing with Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock never made a horror movie before. And he's like, I'm going to make a horror movie. And he made Psycho. So Alien is great because you had somebody coming in from the outside and doing something very unique. Same thing with Robocop, incidentally. Paul Verhoeven, up to that point, had made historical movies, Blood and Flesh and all kinds of other weird stuff. He never made a sci-fi action movie. He only did that because he was desperate for the work. And of course, now he's made 3 of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time: Robocop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers. Yeah, just shows if you get those guys coming in from left of field, they will make a superior thing.
Wow, yeah, those are 2 other movies I also need to add to my rewatch list: Starship Troopers and Total Recall, not the remake.
Yeah, no, the remake is just, it is so bland. It's striking to me. But anyway, back to Robocop. If you enjoyed this kind of conversation, if you enjoy that nostalgia, or if you just love Robocop, which is one of the best movies ever made, I will fight you on that one. Try this game.
Yeah.
It's a great game on several levels. It's a nice thing for Robocop. It's a nice shooter, And then also it is crucially, it's a demonstration of what a smaller AA studio can do today with a franchise and passion, where this is not about, oh, let's get this thing so we can pump money out of it. This was about, we love this world. You can feel it in this game. We love this world. We love this franchise. We're going to make a game that it deserves. And that's what they did. And I think it's so excellent that we have the tools these days like UE5 to allow these guys to do these kind of things, which that never existed before. And that's what I would like to see more of.
Well, on that note, I see I did buy it when it was special at some point. So yeah, I'm going to be playing some of that this weekend. Thank you for convincing me to pick up an oldie from my library. And that's kind of the purpose of the show, guys. Veterans Vault with myself and James, just mainly talking about James's weird interest in games. I don't know why would you still play games, bro?
I'm not going to grow up. Always play games. Yeah. Don't worry, next week we'll have more games, less AI, Unless all of this is replaced by AI. I know Reichart's working. He's just recording me so he can just make an AI,
Yeah, I need at least 200 hours of footage. So once we hit that point, then consider yourself obsolete. I've got your voice and I've got your... I don't need to worry about your visual appearance. Yeah, it's just the audio. Yeah. It's the voice that
Translate me into different languages. We're going to have the Chinese show, the Japanese show, the Arab show.
The German version.
Yeah. And then you can sell it to private equity, go retire on your island, That's
and then we'll do it all again. Yeah, the dream.
Make slop salad and get rich.
Sadly, there's going to be so many of those millionaires. But yeah, let's not get into that. We digress way too much on the show. Thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. James, as always, I look forward to the chat next week. Do you want to give a teaser about the game next week?
Yes, next week we are going. I'm there, Andrea. Glad you're going to watch the Robocop 2. Please do. Remember, it is a bit flawed, not as good as the first one, but it is great in its own way. And if you feel it wasn't that good, then watch Robocop 3. And I apologize if you do, because it's just, but it's still, I don't know, almost better than the new one. Next week, we're going very much in a gear change. We're going to a point-and-click adventure, also from an indie show, a flawed gem that I think deserves so much more attention and hasn't gotten it. So yeah, we're going from violence. We're going into some Celtic mythology for next week's show.
Oh, interesting. All right, look forward to that. Everybody, you got your weekend game ready, lined up. Robocop 2, you can grab it on Steam. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Trying to be so smooth with this, and I bring up the wrong text.
Not
there
Robocop
we go.
2, Robocop Rogue City. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
there is a Robocop 2 game. Don't play it.
Avoid. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.